In my segment of the message of last Shabbat, I talked about, very important part of our life by loving yourself and loving your neighbor as yourself. We should talk about the food you eat in your body matters a lot. Do not eat something that will go and destroy your body, because if you love yourself, you will not go and destroy yourself, and you cannot love your neighbor when you don't love yourself. So that was the message that we discussed in last Shabbat. In this Shabbat, we're going to be talking about very special discussion that a lot of people fail to understand in their life, in the life that Yahuwah has given to them, and which is trusting Yahuwah and obeying Yahuwah. Trust and obey Yahuwah only. Trust and obey Yahuwah only. You cannot trust and you don't obey Yahuwah. You cannot obey Yahuwah and you don't trust Yahuwah. So you must trust and obey Yahuwah only. That is the only way to live in this arat. That's the only way for you to live in this arat. If you want to live the life of Yahuwah, if you want to live in the will of Yahuwah for your life in this arat, you must trust in Yahuwah and you must obey Yahuwah only, continuously, every day of your life. It's a day-to-day walk. Toda Rabbi Yahuwah Sabaoth. Abba Yahuwah, I'll give you all the Toda for this very segment of this message. Let your Daba speak to us. Let your scripture speak to us. Let us receive the Daba that you have given to us, so that we can walk with them and let them produce the desired result in our hearts. We give you all the Toda, Abba Yahuwah. Ba Hashem Yahushua Mashiach. So shall it be, and so it will be. It is done. Toda Rabbi Yahuwah Sabaoth. All right, so trusting and obeying Yahuwah constantly, every day of your life is very, very important. Lucas chapter 17, verse 11 to 19. It said, as Yahusha continued on towards Yahushalam, Yahusha reached the border between Galilee and Samaria. As he entered the village, there were 10 lepers that stood at a distance, crying out, Yahusha, our master, have mercy on us. So these 10 lepers stood, crying out to Yahushua Mashiach, their master. He said, have mercy on us. And let's see how a lot of us know this story, but there's something that you have to know from this very story. He said, and Yahusha looked at them and said, go, show yourself to the Kohanim. Kohanim is the word they translate to priests. Priests. Show yourself to the Kohanim. And as they went, they were cleansed of their leprosy. Remember, Yahusha did not say, you are healed. It's there. You can see it yourself. It's there for verse 14. Yahusha did not say you are healed. Go. You are healed from your leprosy. No, he said, go. Show yourself to the Kohanim. That's just the words that Yahusha said. The words on the red write-up is the words of Yahusha. He said, go. Show yourself to the Kohanim. Just show yourself to them. It's an instruction. They obeyed. They obeyed Yahusha's instructions. He said, and as they went, they were cleansed. It's because of their obedience. As they went, because of they obeyed what Yahusha said, go and show yourself, without even praying. As they were going, they were cleansed of their leprosy. One of them, when he saw that he was healed, came back to Yahusha, shouting, Yada Yahuwah. He fell to the ground. He fell to the ground at Yahusha's feet, thanking him for what Yahusha had done. This man was a Samaritan. It was a Samaritan that came back. One of them came back among them all that had the leprosy. One of them came back. He said, and Yahusha asked, did I not heal 10 men? Where are the others? Where are the other 9? As no one returned to give Toda to Yahuwah except this foreigner. So among the Yasharas, maybe the other 9 were Yasharas, and this one was a foreigner from Samaria. It's from Samaria. So he said, as no one returned to give Toda to Yahuwah except this foreigner, and Yahusha said to the man, stand up, go, your Amuna has made you well. Remember, Yahusha told them, go and show yourself to the Kohanim. That was what Yahusha told them. He said, that's the verse 14. The verse 14, he said, and Yahusha looked at them and said, go show yourself to the Kohanim. Because Yahusha has given them order which they obeyed. They have obeyed the order of Yahusha, and they went to show themselves to the Kohanim, which is the priest. At the end of the day, it's only one of them that came back. It's only one that came back. One that came back to give Yada, to give Toda to Yahuwah for the healing that has come to his body, that he has healed from the leprosy. You see? So, number one, they trust in Yahusha's words. They obeyed Yahusha's word, and they went to the priest. And this trust that they trust in Yahusha's word that made them to obey Yahusha made their leprosy left them, made the leprosy left their body at the end of the day. But one came back to testify. So you must constantly testify the goodness of Yahusha, of Yahuwah on your life. It's very important. So your testimony can build somebody's amuna and trust in Yahuwah also. So it's important that you testify. When you prayed concerning an area in your life and Yahuwah showed up and healed you, testify. Tell people about it. Testimony means telling people about what the goodness of Yahuwah in your life. And that can build somebody's amuna. You see? So it's very, very important. Now we're going to look on this very special account of Kafar. When Kafar was, when he saw Yahusha walking on the water. Let's read for ourselves. Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 to 31. He said, immediately after feeding the people, because after Yahusha fed the 5,000 men with the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes, immediately after feeding them, Yahusha insisted that his Talmidim get back to the boats and cross to the other side of the lake. While he sent the people that he fed, he sent them home. So immediately the Talmidim have left Yahusha, and Yahusha has sent the people home. He said after sending them home, Yahusha went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there praying. So Yahusha went there without his Talmidim, and night fell at the place that Yahusha was praying at the hills. Meanwhile, the Talmidim were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. Shortly before dawn in the morning, Yahusha came towards them, walking on the water. Yahusha not came towards them because Yahusha was alone on his own, praying on the hills. So shortly before the dawn, before the morning, before the day breaks, which is the dawn, Yahusha came walking on the water towards them. When the Talmidim, verse 26, so when the Talmidim saw Yahusha walking on the water, they were terrified in their fear. They cried out, "It is a ghost! It is a ghost!" They now saw Yahusha because they don't expect anybody to walk on the water. They said, "He is a ghost." You see? They say it's a ghost that is walking on this water. At the time of Moshe split the water into two and walk on the dry ground. But this is Yahusha, the programming that Yahuwah has made to set the whole Arad free. It did not split the water into two. It walked upon the water, the top of the water. It walked up on the water. This is the highest miracle on the Arad. It did not walk on the dry ground. It walked on the water. Let's read on. So the Rabbi Yahuwah. He said, when the Talmidim saw Yahusha walking on the water, when they saw him walking on the water, they were shocked. When they saw him walking on the water, they were shocked, and they were terrified in their fear. They cried out, it is a ghost. They cried out that it is a ghost. Verse 27, but Yahusha spoke to them at once. Do not be terrified. Do not be afraid. Take courage. I am here. So they now noticed that, oh, it is Yahusha that was there. Then Kepha called to Yahusha, Master, if it is really you, because you say you are there, if it is really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water. This is the major area that we're going to be looking at. By your obedience and trust, your trust and obedience to Yahuwah. Now, Yahusha not told him, he said, then Kepha called to Yahusha, Master, if it is really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water. And Yahusha said to Kepha, come, just only one word, come. So Kepha went over the side of the boat and walked on the water towards Yahusha. Let's pause here first. Kepha now went over the edge of the boat and walked towards Yahusha. He now walked towards Yahusha with the command that Yahusha gave to him to come. That means first thing, he obeyed Yahusha. The come, Yahusha said, come, walk on the water. When Yahusha told Kepha to walk on the water, he obeyed Yahusha and he started walking on the water. But when he saw the waves of the water, the waves of the sea, of the water, he could not trust in that come anymore. He first of all obeyed that come that Yahusha told him to come. But suddenly, the fear of the wave now made him distrust Yahusha. He could not trust Yahusha anymore. He did not trust the come. He said, then Kepha called to Yahusha, verse 28. And then Kepha called to Yahusha, Master, if it is really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water. Yahusha said to Kepha, come. So Kepha went over the side of the boat and walked on the water toward Yahusha. Now, let's see how the story ends. We all know the story, but it's very important that you know that trusting and obeying Yahuwah are two different things that you must put together in everyday activities of your life. You cannot trust in Yahuwah and you cannot disobey Yahuwah and you say you trust in Yahuwah. No, it will not work. And when you obey Yahuwah, you must trust in Yahuwah also. He said, but when Kepha saw the strong wind and the waves, Kepha was terrified and began to sink because he did not trust in Yahusha's word that Yahusha said, come. Now, he now began to sink. He now said, save me, Master. He shouted. Because of what? He did not trust in Yahusha that said you should walk on the water. A lot of us today, in our lives, we are just walking on just obedience. We don't act on trust. We don't act on trusting Yahuwah. And without you trusting in Yahuwah, there's nothing that can happen. Your trust is an activity, is your amuna, is your belief. Your trust is very important in your day-to-day work. If you do not trust in Yahuwah, you will sink like Kepha sink there in that boat, in that river, in that water. You will start sinking in life. Because every one of us will walk in the storm of life. The storm, and the rivers of life, the waters of life, that's where we walk on. But when you trust in Yahuwah, you will not sink in this water of life that you are walking on. When you trust in Yahuwah, you will succeed and you will walk no matter the terrible waves and winds. You will move and get to your destination successfully. Because what? You trust in Yahuwah.